Hello, this is Sarah Braasch. Welcome back to my channel. So this is going to be part 4 of my Medium essay, my 6 years at Yale with the woke intersectional feminists and how they tried to destroy me, which is my essay response to James Hatch's viral Medium essay, My Semester with the Snowflakes. Okay, my PayPal me and GoFundMe links are below. Please donate to my legal fund. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you all so much for all of your support. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So, I had no business being in on-campus student housing, even for graduate students, but I had no choice because I had no money. I'm older, 43 at the time of the Living or Napping While Black hate crime hoax, entirely devoted to my life's work, suffer from severe PTSD, and just wanted everyone to abide by the Yale housing regulations and to live in a safe and clean and quiet environment. The Yale graduate students living in on-campus housing decidedly did not, for the greater part, want to live in a safe and clean and quiet environment. In a nutshell, the graduate students who harassed me in on-campus housing were incensed that I had had the temerity to ask them to behave in a civilized manner. I'm sure that they knew who I was, believed that I was an anti-LGBTQ bigot, and also saw me as old, crazy, poor white trash. Who was I to tell them to stop screaming and yelling and vomiting and pooping everywhere on the quiet floor at all hours of the day and night? Who was I to want to actually be able to use the communal bathroom and toilets on the weekends? Who was I to want a little peace and quiet and to be able to actually work on my PhD dissertation? I think most people fail to appreciate the way that class played a role in my ostensible disposability as a human being during the Living or Napping While Black hate crime hoax at Yale. No one had a problem beating the piñata that is my life to pieces because they saw me as a poor white trash interloper who had no business being at Yale amongst the elite. I actually had to flee Yale's campus for my life while being taunted by a mob and immediately go into hiding following May 8th, 2018. Everyone and their second cousin once removed took turns bashing me in the Yale Daily News in grossly defamatory op-eds for social justice warrior and woke intersectional feminism street cred points, and no one stopped to even consider the obvious, that I was an entirely innocent human and civil rights licensed attorney activist who had been falsely accused and then subjected to a campaign to publicly shame me for my mental health disabilities. So much for Yale's new Belonging at Yale initiative. I guess everyone gets to belong at Yale except for older, poorer, lower socioeconomic class white women graduate students with mental health disabilities. So after what may euphemistically be described as a rocky few years at Yale, I believe that the Yale administration were positively thrilled when Lolita Ciambola approached them with her false accusation that I had perpetrated a racist hate crime comparable to a lynching. They had been salivating for another bite at the expulsion apple. This is what happens when you stray but a hair from woke intersectional feminism dogma at Yale. This is what happens when you dare to defend the federal civil rights, the religious expression rights of an evangelical black man at Yale. This is what happens when you demand to live in a safe, clean, quiet environment in on-campus graduate student housing at Yale as an older, non-traditional female graduate student. This is what happens when you're a deeply committed civil libertarian who believes in free speech and due process for one and all at Yale. But there's more. It's hard to believe that there's more, but there is. After May 8th, 2018, the Yale administration grilled me about my philosophical and legal views because ostensibly they've adopted Maoism now. Around a decade ago or so, I was a fairly popular essayist in the online world of secularism, freethinkers, atheists, and skeptics, etc. Following the living or napping while black hate crime hoax at Yale, my online pieces were scoured and willfully and grossly twisted and misconstrued. My single word choices were cherry-picked, removed from context, and painted as racist and ugly, when in truth, these are anti-oppression pieces and are not racist or bigoted in any way, shape, or form. The Yale administration got in on the act. They interrogated me over a decade-old blog post in which I expressed what I now know to be my exclusive legal positivism as a legal theorist. They questioned me about having described racism as a silly social construct, meaning, which is more than abundantly clear from context, that I think racism is stupidity. And they harangued my opposition to hate crime legislation as grossly unconstitutional, which it is, and this is a perfectly respectable legal and philosophical view. One essay, which has been incessantly propagated around the globe, includes a description of a mandatory public middle school assignment when I was 11 or 12 years old in Wisconsin. I was assigned the task of arguing the pro-slavery position in a debate on slavery in social studies class, a task that I decry in the essay. My team won the debate, and I explain how. I am now routinely described as a slavery apologist, to my horror. Additionally, I was grilled over my pro-burqa ban position, which I developed while working with Ni Putes Ni Soumises in Paris, France for a year. NPNS is a group of mostly fierce women from the predominantly Muslim immigrant, ghettoized suburbs surrounding the major cities of France. They unapologetically fight for women's rights as universal human rights, and the three pillars of their movement are secularism, gender equality, and gender desegregation. They see, as do I, burqa bans as public desegregation measures and as civil rights laws. I concur with the dominant French view that free and unfettered access to an egalitarian public space is part and parcel of one's citizenship, and there can be no hierarchy of stratified citizenship in a secular, liberal, constitutional democratic republic. The French are definitely right about this one. But supporting burqa bans, face coverings including the niqab, is considered unwoke these days in the US, as is any criticism of Islam. And last, but certainly not least, I have one essay where I explicate my strong position on free speech. Not absolutism, but quite strong. The title of this essay has been bandied far and wide as evidence of my egregious racism. It is also what I consider to be my catchphrase. I love hate speech and I hate hate crime legislation. Provocative to be sure, but if anyone had actually bothered to read this anti-oppression essay, they would have realized immediately that I am not referring to the substantive content of what is deemed hate speech. I explicitly state that I do nothing so well as defend my own free speech rights when I defend the manifestation of speech that I regard as the most abominable, the most obscene, the most rank. And I always make clear it is most often the marginalized and oppressed whose speech is deemed hate speech by the powerful. The Yale administration grilled me about this one too. After May 8, 2018, the Yale administration, including President Peter Salovey, made a string of grossly defamatory public statements about me. They knew that I was entirely innocent, but they were trying to cover up their complicity in the living or napping while black hate crime hoax. They didn't want the public to know that they had targeted me for my mental health disabilities and egregiously violated my federal civil rights. My life and career were completely and utterly decimated. I will never recover. I will never be able to support myself. Everything that I had worked for has been destroyed. I can't even tell you how many times I almost killed myself. I went into literal physical shock. I would shake uncontrollably on the hour, every hour, with chills. I couldn't eat or sleep. It was surreal. At the beginning of June 2018, Yale Graduate School Dean Lynn Cooley sent me notice that she was charging me with racial harassment. They were going to try to expel me. I was completely flabbergasted. I had begged Dean Cooley on May 8th, 2018 to retract and correct her disgusting lies about me, and she bluntly dismissed me. In July 2018, Yale's general counsel admitted to the attorney my surrogate dads had hired to stop Yale from wrongfully expelling me that there was absolutely no reason to think that I had ever acted out of racial bias or animus in any way, shape, or form. They also dropped the racial component of the harassment charges, a fact which they later denied. I thought I saw the faintest glimmer of a light at the end of the tunnel until August 1st, 2018. At the beginning of August 2018, Yale President Peter Salovey released a public statement that can only be construed as meant to devastate my life, reputation, livelihood, and lifelong human and civil rights, academic, and legal careers. He precluded the possibility of my receiving a fair hearing and any due process rights whatsoever. I know for a fact that persons inside the Yale administration warned him against releasing the statement. I know that they told him that his statement was grossly defamatory and illegal and immoral and would endanger my life and probably drive me to suicide. Yale President Peter Salovey didn't care. He didn't care if I died. I just want to remind everyone that Yale's motto is Lux et Veritas, or light and truth. At the beginning of October 2018, Yale withdrew all charges against me. But without any due process whatsoever, Yale Graduate School Dean Lynn Cooley permanently banned me from campus and from teaching at Yale. I cannot describe the devastation that I felt. Well, they finally got what they wanted. The Yale administration succeeded in destroying me by publicly branding me a racist as my punishment for straying but a hair from woke intersectional feminism dogma. They couldn't allow an actual hearing to take place because I would have been exonerated and the Yale administration would have been exposed for what they are, bigoted liars, content to throw an innocent grad student under the bus to save their own skins. The Yale administration was not content to have exploded my life into a million little pieces. They continue to lead the global defamation campaign against me to this day. In early 2019, they released their farcical and ridiculous Title VI review report, which grossly defames me. It is so obviously an attempt to cover up their wrongdoing and justify their illegal and immoral public statements about me that it's a joke. It's a joke. And they decided not to create a Title VI office on campus. If Yale actually cared about making students of color feel safe and welcome on Yale's campus, then they would create a Title VI office. But the administration doesn't want to do that because they don't want to have to recognize the due process rights of accused faculty and students. They want to be able to just throw them to the wolves as they did me. Yale has since announced the creation of a vast Maoist bureaucracy for reporting students and faculty for racial harassment sans any due process whatsoever, led, of course, by VP of Student Life, Kimberly Goff-Cruz. Also, a number of persons inside Yale told me that the administration was orchestrating, to the greatest extent possible, the media response to the Living or Napping While Black hate crime hoax at Yale. It boggles the mind the number of persons who have received honors and awards and paid positions at Yale since participating in the destruction of my life and career. Defaming Sarah Braasch was pretty good for business and the pocketbook in one's social media profile in 2018 and 2019. I am still a PhD candidate at Yale in philosophy. I will finish my dissertation and graduate, but my dissertation will not be what I was hoping it would be. But the important thing is to finish. I can expand on it later. I will never have a career in academia now. Of course, I hope to pursue all appropriate legal remedies. I'm struggling to raise legal funds. I am working on a book proposal and I hope to secure an advance to secure my legal representation. I am also hoping to monetize my YouTube channel soon, where I reveal the truth about the Living or Napping While Black hate crime hoax at Yale. I have filed numerous formal complaints with the Federal Office for Civil Rights, but so far they have not expressed any interest whatsoever in helping me secure justice at Yale. I have literally begged them to open an investigation. Many people have told me that the federal OCR isn't going to help me because they don't like cases that fly in the face of woke intersectional feminism. I continue to wait and hope that the decision of the Connecticut Freedom of Information Act Commission hearing officer will be in my favor, and the world will get to see how the Yale administration and police told disgusting lies about me. I am the prime example of why woke intersectional feminism is bigotry and stupidity. For this reason, I continue to be attacked. Those persons whose livelihoods and ideologies and credibility depend upon me being the genocidal villain that they claimed, continue to do everything in their power to thwart my efforts to save my life and career. But I will never stop fighting for vindication and justice. I will never stop fighting for everyone whose life and career have been destroyed by false accusations and the moral outrage industry. I will never stop fighting for the restoration of civil liberties, including due process and free speech at Yale and campuses across the U.S. and everywhere. I will never stop fighting for Lux et Veritas, for light and truth. And thank you so much. So again, my PayPal me and GoFundMe links are below. Please donate to my legal fund. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for all of your support and kind words. You are literally saving my life and career. And we are going to do this. We are going to survive this moment of insanity, of mass insanity and delusion. We're going to survive it. We're going to get through this together. Okay, thank you so much. You have a great night.